Sat around one lazy day with nothing much to do. We ventured to the liquor store to grab a beer or two. We just ran out of bullets shooting targets with the gun. So Pickity grabbed the microphone and got on some friends for fun. That's how that got started, that's for sure to say the least. We're gonna talk to everyone that's from us in the East. That's how we roll with Pickity Pat. That's how we roll with Pickity Pat. With Pickity Pat. Yeah. Hello everybody and welcome to the Pickity Pat podcast. I'm Pat and I'll be taking you on a little journey. We have with us today Sarah Kahn. Sarah is a mental health advocate and an entrepreneur, resides in Nova Scotia, came from Prince Edward Island, and has as much experience and happiness and everything that we all want, all wrapped up in one package. Any of you listeners ever want to join the show, just give a shout. Anything you want to talk about on the East Coast, whether it's fun stuff, business stuff, anything that makes you unique, spread some happiness, spread some mental health, spread some wicked stories, anything you want to do. Just get in touch with us, with me, Pickity Pat. All right, let's talk to Sarah. I called her a little bit ago and got her to start out by introducing herself. So let's see what she has to say.
Hello, my name is Sarah Kahn. I'm an online health and wellness business builder. I do this via network marketing. I am a huge mental health advocate, a celebrator of diversity and inclusion, and I've aligned myself with a brand that matches my values as it relates to social and economic and environmental impact. So I really hope I can bring some value to your listeners and share some information that might be of use for them.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. I'm trying to touch on everybody's mental health issues. We all have some sort of mental health going on. And some people are more vocal and looking for help or giving help, etc. So it's good to hear from somebody who's educated and experienced in it, like yourself. Mm-hmm. My original podcast was called Six String Sense, and I still do it. And I started to notice when I talk to more musicians, guitar players, that guitar playing is just an amazing medicine, therapy, whatever you want to call it, for mental health. Whether people recognize it or not, it makes you feel great. People dance to it, obviously, and they share their stories.
Music is so cathartic. Like, it's amazing what it can do. It can totally transform you into a different plane and mental state and alter your moods in ways that's practically like a drug, which is incredible if really people can hear the music and express, themselves through music. So I think that's amazing that you can do that, because it was one of the things I thought was pretty cool about the fact that you even wrote your own theme song for your podcast. I think that's great. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah. I like doing that. I love doing it. It gives me mental health therapy, like I said. But so I read that your family came from another country. And you're first generation entrepreneur, or your parents were first generation in Canada?
So, first generation Canadian. So I was born and raised in Canada. I was actually born in Ontario, but to all your people, like, I rarely admit that I was born in Ontario, because I moved to the East Coast when I was 2. So I consider myself a maritimer. Like,
you should. Yeah.
I do. The first 2 years was irrelevant in my life.
You didn't do too much.
I remember it. So all my formative years have been in the Maritimes. So my parents immigrated here. My father came as a professor. My mother came a little bit shortly after that. And when we moved to the Maritimes, my father was teaching at UPEI. There were some huge immigration problems that we started to experience, to the point that it was actually, we moved to New Brunswick. We were living in Sackville, New Brunswick, and we had a lawyer there, and they tried to deport us all out of the country. It ended up in the media because of the fact that I was born and raised so far in Canada, and they were trying to deport this Canadian-born girl out of the country. Now, you would hear this happening a lot, maybe a lot more now, but at the time, it ended up creating a lot of sympathy within the public, and having some local MLAs involved and stuff. And there was just these weird, little details as it related to immigration. So my father ended up getting his proper visa, and my parents ended up separating. My mother and I moved to PEI, and she couldn't get a job anywhere. Like, nobody wanted to hire immigrants. And I remember the struggle and how difficult that was. And for me, that was crazy that nobody wanted to hire her, because my mom is so freaking talented in so many things and so skilled.
I bet.
That, when I think back to it, it's shocking to me that she wasn't being hired, but she wasn't. So she used to work at Burger King, and after school, she arranged it with the manager that I could walk home after school, and I was allowed to sit in Burger King in the corner as long as I didn't say anything or make any moves. And my mother bought me some food, and I was quiet until she was done work. So it was a very strange first couple of years in PEI, but that's like some of the years that I remember most strongest about being in the Maritimes, where people were very friendly. But in Prince Edward Island, I was like one of 5 brown families on the entire island. Like, it was,
Really?
there was no multiculturalism. And this is totally going to date me, but I lived there before there was the fixed link. Or if you don't know what the fixed link is, if you're not from Nova or can't, it's called the Confederation Bridge. But I remember saying that to somebody recently. They're like, "What is the fixed link?" I'm like, "Confederation Bridge." I'm like, "Oh, okay." But I'm like, "I'm not old. I'm like really young, So
Yeah, the Prince Edward Islands version of the Canso Causeway.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's
Our bridge doesn't shift and move, so I was like, we're no longer an island.
Nope.
Prince Edward Island is not Prince Edward Island; it's Prince Edward Peninsula.
Yeah.
PEP. Not PEI, but PEP, because the Cape Breton is still an island because the bridge moves. Yep. Like, it's actually
it's an island for a good part of the summer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool for sure. So when you moved to I guess when you came over to the Maritimes, what kind of things did you do in the Maritimes that were unique to, say, Nova Scotia or anywhere on the East Coast?
So when we first came to the Maritimes, I didn't move to Nova Scotia until I was in my later teens, and I moved here on my own. And I worked, and actually used to work at the Palace. The last chance for romance. So oh gosh, I loved my job there. Anyways, but cool. The thing is that I was in between PEI and New Brunswick, but most of the time in Prince Edward Island is where I spent most of my childhood. And I mean, PEI is known for its beaches, so there were a lot of beaches. And I remember when I was really young, maybe 4 years old, we were in Cavendish with friends that we had visiting from Nova Scotia, actually. And I got pulled into an undertow. And I remember my mother just like running into the water sort of thing and just hauling me out. That was my first time. And I think after that, I was like mildly scared of the beach for the longest time. Yeah. But our swimming lessons were really quite different. Like, when we did things in the summertime and we would do all these outdoor activities, or I would be in camps, they would do swimming lessons, say, in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we would actually go to the local lake and we would learn how to do boating, canoeing, boating, rowing, that sort of thing.
Oh, cool.
And you don't hear about that stuff anymore. Like, I never made it up to my levels to ever actually to do the rowboat by myself. I don't remember how they classified it. I don't know if you remember in swim lessons, they used to do like the red, gold, or blue, green, all those there was a similar certification as it relates to boating. But I just thought that was really cool, because we got to learn the swimming, which is like a life skill to me.
Definitely.
Especially on the island where you're surrounded by water. And then doing the boating, which was really cool, because I find that that's not natural part of summer activities. Like, you hear about sailing and all this sort of thing, but it's like they pay copious amounts of money, and it's like such a elite kind of industry or field to get into for people who are extremely affluent. But really, boating was a part of what we had to do in basic swim lessons. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool that we actually had to do that.
That is cool.
Yeah. So then, other than that, like, PEI it was very boring. Otherwise, the winters where we relied entirely on a tourism industry.
Right.
It's evolved quite a bit now, because now there's this huge aspect of culinary tourism as well, which I'm not going to say, but I will actually say that my mother, I believe, was a huge part of, because I wrote a proposal for her. I remember doing that for tourism PEI. So, and then several years later, it became a thing with Chef Michael Smith. But
Nice.
she, but at the time, growing up there, it was only just the summer that was ever busy or had anything to do, because that's when the golf courses were open and the beaches and any of those little restaurants and cafes and galleries and stuff like that. So during the winter times, PEI was terribly boring, like terribly. And going to Moncton was like this huge, I don't know how to describe it. It was like you were going to the other side of the world. Like if you got to go to Moncton for shopping, that was like the thing. Or if heaven forbid you went all the way to Halifax for shopping from Charlottetown, which, because this is before the Confederation Bridge, this is before the double lane highway through Cobequid. This is when you were still going through, not Wentworth. Oh my gosh, what was it?
New Glasgow?
No. Like going from New Brunswick to PEI, or past like where Cobequid passes now.
Going through Amherst.
The huge mountain, and there used to be so many deaths there because of the weather, and it was only single lane, which is one of the big reasons why they built the Cobequid Pass. So to go from PEI or from Charlottetown to Halifax for shopping was like a 6.5 hour drive minimum, like expedition to go. So it was really far. So what people consider now is far from, like, let's say how people make jokes from Cape Breton to Toronto. That's what it was from like Charlottetown to Halifax, was this huge ordeal, like this crazy, you're in a totally different world. And that's how small the Maritimes really was, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I know when we used to go to PEI when I was growing up, since we're so far east in Nova Scotia, we would take the ferry from Pickity over to, I forget where we would have landed, but
Wood Island.
Wood Island,
yes,
Wood Island, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'd go over to PEI, and there would be those summer visitors that you guys would have that made PEI so busy in the summer.
Exactly. But that's all that could happen. The winter times were so boring. The East Coast are a breed of people that you just don't understand until you really are from here, but why it's so different. And the fact, like, I mean, if you even have to look at what's happening in real estate right now, the fact that all of these people who are coming from away in Ontario are coming, either they've never lived here, like some people have come here and they've never lived here, or coming back home because of the fact that, like, they understand that the East Coast is something really, really super special, and having that community and the camaraderie from each other, province to province, and it's rare everywhere else, but it's normal here. So I think that having somebody talk that has had the opportunity to experience so many different places and the industry and whatever, being in the limelight, I think would be a very great perspective to have from that East Coast feel. So
yeah, it was pretty cool, and I didn't realize how special that the East Coast was really until I moved to Calgary. And I lived in Calgary for almost 10 years. And the day that I landed there, it was like all the people from Nova Scotia just came and said, do you need this? Do you need that? Let's go have fun. Let's go have a drink. Let's go do that. Come on, let's go. Let's feel great. And I spent every Christmas there for 7 years, and it was amazing. Everyone would get together. They'd kind of miss home, but they'd be so grateful that everybody was there. Not really misery loves company, but just feelings of any sort loves company. So it was
I had friends that would travel to the resorts like Dominican and stuff, and somebody would have like the Nova Scotia flag on their balcony, and the next thing you know, like there's Nova Scotians, like I have friends that have told me this, like testimonials from them going,
I believe you,
Scotians all joining together, like, you're from Nova Scotia, I'm from Nova Scotia. And then it's a shit show from there on in, but like in a good way. The resort becomes the kitchen party for the Nova Scotians, but
kitchen parties don't just have to happen in kitchens.
No,
they happen everywhere.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I won't keep you much longer. I'm sure you have a busy day. You look to have a busy schedule, so I'd love to do it again sometime. And
yes, absolutely. I'd love to get to know you a little bit better and how you came to this place. What were some of the, I mean, you just kind of dropped one on there, the fact that you had been away and now you're back and you're doing this podcast from the perspective of, being on the East Coast and stuff. So I would love to know the transition, how you got to this point, and know more about your music and what your motivators were and who are your inspirations. There's usually somebody. If I have to be honest about it, like I wish I could sing. Like my kids think I can sing, but I can't sing. I love
everybody
singing.
Can sing.
I
just maybe not in front of people.
No, I know. My friend asked me, my neighbor asked me if my oldest son is a good singer, and I said I love hearing him sing.
But nobody else does.
The non-answer, is he a good singer or not?
Yeah.
She asked me, like, is your son a good singer?
Yeah.
I was like, I love hearing him sing. But anyways, I always wanted to be Jem from Jem and the Holograms. That was like my big motivator. I had this idea that, I would have synergy and whatever. So anyways, I always wanted to perform.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, we might as well wrap this up, and sounds like I got some editing and more learning to do, so that'll be awesome.
This is my year. I usually name my years, and originally this was my year of resiliency, but now I feel like this is my year of creation, collaboration, and connection. So anything that I can do for you to help support you, especially on this platform or whatever, just let me know, and I would love to be able to do that for you.
That sounds awesome. And same to you. If you need anything, I don't know how I could help you, but if I can, then just reach out and we'll get together.
Absolutely.
Awesome, Sarah.
Thanks, Pat.
Cool. Have a great day.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That wraps up our first episode on the Pickity Pat podcast. I'd like to thank Sarah Kahn for joining us and giving us a whole wealth of information. Any of you want to join the show, just DM me. Get in touch with us through LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all those good sites. Anyways, we're not hard to find, so give us a shout. Share us a story. Talk to you later. Sat around one lazy day with nothing much to do. We ventured to the liquor store to grab a beer or two. We just ran out of bullets shooting targets with the gun. So Pickity grabbed the microphone and cut on some friends for fun. That's how that got started, that's for sure to say the least. We're gonna talk to everyone that's from us in the East. That's how we roll with Pickity Pat. That's how we roll with Pickity Pat. With Pickity Pat.